A very good morning, everyone.
Good morning, ma'am.
Good morning,
Good
ma'am.
morning. Sorry for keeping you two classes in terms of back to back. So, hope all of you are doing good. Good. Yeah. How- Even if I am not well, my determination, my mental strength is that strong that I can take 4 to 5 hours. So don't worry about me. Yes, I am down with fever, high fever for last 3 days. So under medication, but still then I am pretty much well to take up. I am ready to take up. But yes, in between I have to switch off the videos. Don't worry, I will keep it short and sweet, and it will be a more activity based than that of completely loaded information. I know already you have been jammed up with information in the first session with the budget with Dean sir. So let us keep it completely an activity based. Okay, is that good? So what do you learn from today's session with Dean sir in the morning? Some of you might be also sleeping by that time. Yeah. So even if you are sleeping, but if your auditory skills are really high, doesn't matter. The brain starts recepting to that. So anything which your brain received,
Yes, ma'am. In India, workers are of three types: unskilled, skilled, and highly skilled. That is one thing that sir told us. 90% of the problem with India is 90% of all the labor in which falls in unskilled sector or type, and 7% are skilled and highly skilled are 3% only. That's a big issue. Whereas in Germany, 5% are unskilled and 25% are highly skilled and 70% are skilled.
so from this, what problem could you find out? What is the problem?
The laborers are not employable basically because they have no skills.
Is it a problem? No. From this statement, can anyone identify the problem? What is the problem?
Our education system.
Still, our workers are not skilled enough.
Yes, yes. So, so when a week started with a statement of the division in the skilled, unskilled, and semi skilled, and you made a comparison between India and Germany as far as skill is concerned. So, the major problem which you are trying to thrive on is what? The skill issue. That is how is problem identification is. Clear? So, once you are identifying what the problem is, because you know this is what is the diagnosis is. If the diagnosis is clear, then you can very well treat it. If you are yourself confused about what the problem is, it can remain untreatable, right? So, in terms of killing this problem, whatever things are required to be done as far as skill improvisation is concerned, one has to do. So, the assignment which I have kept for you is not completely going into a writing activity because I found that in many of those groups, it is not only with your batch, but it has been a recurring incidence with earlier batch that some people contribute and some do not. And when the meal is ready, everybody comes to have their part of meal. So just to have a fair kind of equity as far as the decision is concerned, the assignment which has been thought of for you is number one, identify any problem, any economic problem. The choice is yours. So you have your group, identify any economic problem which you see as we started with one problem of skill manifestation and skill orientation, which can next, what step is there, you can find it out, right? And then kill the problem. Similarly, identify the problem, number one. Number two is come up with various possible solution because one problem may not have one solution. Multiple solutions you will find out. As in the case which was cited by Avik, some of you stated that yes, education is responsible. Some of you stated that lack of employment opportunity is responsible, right? So you are trying to trigger into the various
Solutions.
solutions, right? That means you are coming across different sets of decision alternatives. This is step number two. And step number three is sometime there can be suboptimal solution. Sometime you will find an optimal solution. Clear? Suboptimal solution is again a kind of what? You are not completely rooting out the problem, but somewhere you are closer to root out the problem. That is what suboptimal is. Optimal is a perfect solution to the problem where you are trying to root out the problem. Clear? Got the three steps? Number one, problem identification. Number two, coming across the decision alternatives. And number three is reaching a suboptimal or a optimal solution. Now the idea is clear. So there are possibly 12 to 13 groups. Bhaskar, please create a Google sheet where the groups will be just a topic name. They will be projecting so that there is no clashing. Now, this is the idea which is given to you. Second thing is that you have to create a TED video based on this idea. Is it clear? Second step, step two, create a TED video. Is it clear? TED video means your idea, whatever your ideation is, any niche problem which you want to solve, which you see in and around you. But yes, try to make it an economical issues because we are dealing with particularly macroeconomic issues. Not कि मेरे घर में आज खाना नहीं बना, मैं हड़ताल पे जाऊंगा, Mummy khani andi. Okay, that can be also treated. Do you know how? You can treat it as an imputed cost for the kind of services your mother is provided to you. Imputed cost, when I say imputed cost, that means last class we were discussing that work is not accounted as an economic activity. So it is not contributing to GDP. If you want a simple problem, also you can channelize it to an economic problem. Are you getting my point? So step number one, the ideation. Step number two, the video. And step number three, the report. Report will be the framing of whatever you have done into hardly within a page of might be 1500 words or max 2000 words. Okay, clear? Now I think with this assignment, what will be the learning outcome? Ultimately, can anyone make it out? What can be the learning outcome?
Everyone
Here,
will
what problem I'm trying to solve by going forward with this provision of assignment.
That everyone is getting involved in this project.
Now, each and every entity is getting involved. Some might be good with ideation of problem. Some might be good with decision making. Some might be good with solution. Some might be good in technician with videos and all that. And some might be good with content writing. Isn't it? So each and every member, whatever skills you have, that can be very clearly figured out and that can be tabbed, putting it into a right fit. And that is how, again, a possible and a very plausible way of skill identification and the problem which we started with a week, I can think that this is a solution for the class. You agree with me?
Yes, ma'am.
Right? So, in a way, you will be pushed into various economic problem. Now, search for your problem and come up with the best possible solution. Right? So, all these four steps are ready to be followed. Any confusion?
Now this TED video part, video has been made by a single person or by the whole group.
Hmm?
Ma'am, the video part, ma'am, that has been made by the whole group or by few members of the group.
The whole group, all of you are contributing to that. All the five members will be speaking on the process. You can take it as a form of a story. You can take it up as a approach. But each member, I would like to see every member in that video. It is not that one will create a video and it will upload. No. Every member should be there in that video.
Time limit.
Very good question. Yes, I was about to come to it. So, since there are three different points which you have to address on, Maximum you can, and there are 6 members, I think, in each group. Clear? So 10 minutes is a fair time limit for the video to be created. A 10 minutes video. Yes, but why I stated is to be TED, because TED has all the element. I didn't give it as a presentation video. A presentation video is completely different from the TED video, isn't it? So TED, the most important factor in TED is, you have seen speakers in TED. What is that they are trying to resolve? How do they start with? They start always with a problem, isn't it? And the time factor is also very constant. If there are multiple speakers, the time is very, very short. But within that limitation, how you are able to project your best possible idea, that is what is the challenge is. Now, I hope each and every member in the group are bound to work and contribute. There is no escape. Because one who is dropping out, ultimately he is not, or she is out of the game. Let us take it as a game.
Ma'am, by when we have to submit all this project, all these things?
Good question again. So today is 25th of January. I'm giving you right a 1 month time. That is 26th of February. The submissions has to be done. You can create your video in a YouTube link, and that link can be posted in that Google Sheet. Or if you have time, in one class, we can run the videos of all the groups and we can have a learning. It will be better. One class we can devote to the videos of all the groups, and then through that we can come out with various multiple ways of that. Right? So fun based activity. Sleeping and doormat volcanoes in the class. Did you get me? I hope there is no confusion. Okay. Another activity for today's class. Before I start with the activity, a very quick and short quiz. Last class we learned about GDP, MP, and FC. What is the commonality between these two? My question goes to Arpan Mohanty.
Ma'am, again can you repeat?
You can see my screen?
Yes, ma'am.
What would be the commonality between GDP, MP, and GDP, FC? What is a common element which can be used to derive the computation between GDP, MP, and GDP, FC? Yes.
Ma'am, net indirect tax.
Same.
I asked Arpan, no? Arpan, I get a very simple example in the last class. What was that? How do you factor in market price and factor cost? You are the consumer. Suppose
Tax
today
collection.
go to the Toyota's automobile dealer to purchase a Japanese made car, and you get a top end model of Legender in terms of the vehicle, whose on road price is say 44 lakhs. And after paying the taxes, the increase in the level of valuation which in budget the government is making for that, from now onwards, whatever cars are being automobiles are being produced, that will be subject to a 1% manufacturing cost, additional manufacturing cost. So as a result of that, the price of the same vehicle, which was earlier 44 lakhs, that can go up beyond that. So when you purchase that, what do you pay? You are paying as a consumer. Your calculation is based at market price or factor cost.
And the factor cost.
It is
Factor cost.
factor cost. Are you a factor in this case?
Now,
You are the
when
factor.
the tax we are giving through all the
Here in this case, you are a consumer or you are the factor.
not the consumer, the
You
market
are the
price.
you went to the market. You went to the automobile dealer to purchase Legend. So you are the consumer. Who is the factor? The dealer is the factor.
Yes, ma'am.
Who will receive the cost? The dealer will receive the cost, isn't it?
Yes,
So
ma'am.
you pay say 46 lakhs, including the taxes. The dealer receives, does he receives 46 lakhs?
No, ma'am.
How much does he get? If if it will be calculated the highest bracket of 24% GST with an extra 1% manufacturing cost, which is budgeted, that means all this amount, it is going to the government exchequer, both to the center as well as the state, isn't it? So you paying as a consumer and the Toyota dealer receiving the payment as a owner, that is the difference between GDP market cost and factor cost. Clear? So yes, someone mentioned it is NIT, just net indirect taxes, and NIT is nothing but direct taxes minus the subsidies. Another interesting thing which we will learn that in national income, why is that subsidies are not included? Which are the don'ts in national income? Got it happen? Now it is printed. Now whenever you will go to buy Legender or whatever your dream car is there, you will think about this factor. Next, Itishri, what is the commonality between GDP and GNP?
Um, Non-GDP and GNP, like both of the factors are commonly measures of the country's economy, and like for like it will be then represent the total market value of all the goods and services.
But I didn't get the answer. What is the common element between GDP and GNP? In the first case, we have converted market price to factor cost or factor cost to market price. It can be any way around, isn't it? So if you're asked to find out GDP market price, it will be what? It will be the value of GDP factor clause plus NIT. But if you are computing GDP factor cost, because factor costs exclude taxes, so it will be what? From where you are excluding taxes? From the value of market price, no?
Yes.
So it will be GDP market price minus NIT.
NIT.
So what is the commonality you find? It is an NIT in the first case. Similarly, in the second case, what's the commonality? Yeah, Trishri. Trishri Prishti. Yes.
Net factor income from above.
Okay. Net factor income from abroad. Okay. Now let me take the same example. When I say Toyota, the Toyota is which make? Huh? Toyota is which make? Which countries make?
Japan.
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 Right? So in that sense, when you find all those Toyota dealers, those who are located in India, and they're selling cars in India, so it is adding to whose GDP?
India's
India's
India GDP.
India's GDP. Why? Because the dealers are within India. The car is sold within India. So GDP will be calculated. It will be contributing to the GDP of India. Right? But when, let's take in a year, 100 Toyotas are sold, the amount of profit which the investors have made for the production is ultimately going back to Japan. That means the factor income is flowing out. So in that case, to whose economy is it contributing?
Japan.
It will be taken in the negative side of India when profit goes out. So that means profit going out is a factor income received or paid?
Paid.
Paid.
So factor income paid. And who is receiving that factor income?
Japan.
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 So it is contributing to whose GNP? Plus side किधर है? Japan. Now you got the difference. What does LFI mean? Clear? Everyone?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. So when you have to compute GNP, either market cost and factor price, that is understood. अगर मैं GNP के साथ MP डाल दूं, then what would be the formula? It will be GDP MP. Yes, tell me. GNP is a broad element plus, right? If I found GDP MP, it will be what? The formula becomes GNP P minus easy. No need to remember the formulas. Just on the basis of the linkage, you can very well find out. And this is what is a trick. Once you follow this trick, no national income accounting chapter in a click of, that is what chutki mein, it will get solved. No need to remember the formulas. Yes, Aliva, you have raised your hand.
यस मैम मैम स्टार्टिंग में जो बोले कि टोयोटा इंडिया में आके मतलब इन्वेस्ट करके जो भी प्रोड्यूस करेगा मतलब कार्स, तो मैम जीडीपी तो मैम उनका रेज होना चाहिए ना मैम, फिर इंडिया का जीडीपी रेज
GDP उनका रेस कब होगा? When the car is, of course, when the Toyota gets sold in their country, in Japan. Suppose a Japanese purchases a Toyota car and the dealer is in Japan or the distributor is in Japan. So in that case, it will be adding to the GDP of Japan. But what was my case? My case was very clear. I said Urban is going to buy a Toyota car and that dealer is located within India. So when Urban purchases the car, even if it is a Toyota make, it is going to contribute to
India's GDP.
India's GDP, of course.
Yes ma'am, got it.
Clear?
Ma'am, the profit,
Yes.
profit the parent company the gave that not account as a GDP growth.
Yes, the profit, that is what again the profit, as I mentioned earlier. When you're talking about the profit, again the profit is, let's say, of 10 crore. The profit is distributed in three categories, isn't it? A part of the profit is going as dividends. A part of the profit is going for the payment of corporate tax. A part of the profit is remaining as undistributed profit. That means the retained earnings. Dividends, whosoever are the stakeholders, they will earn dividends. Dividends can be earned in the form of what? You can have an equity, you can have a share, isn't it? You earn, you make an investment. Suppose you say that, interestingly, yesterday, one of, I hope everybody is watching Shark Tank. It's a big lesson for MBA students.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
One of those product which was Ishak, you could have seen that she bargained at a low less, but again, the founder of Lenskart took it as a 50% equity with an investment of how much? Investment of how much?
50 lakhs.
50 lakhs.
50 lakhs. So he invested 50 lakhs in exchange of what? In exchange for that, what he asked for? He asked for a 50% equity. That means a 50% of stakeholders. That means equal partners. When it is 50-50, they are equal partners. So in case that brand grows in terms of making profit, now the profit will be equally divided between the founder of Lenskart and that girl. Are you getting it? So in that sense, dividend is an earning which goes to the stakeholders. Either it is in terms of the shares which you hold in Toyota. Suppose you are a stakeholder of the Toyota company. You have invested some amount and in exchange you have asked for, I need an ownership of 10% of shares or 10% of equity of Toyota. So you will get definitely that level of profit, that part of profit. So you being an Indian, now that part of profit which is coming to, no doubt that will be contributed to, that will be part of what? Factor income coming in. That is a part of GNP because you are an Indian investor. That will not contribute to GDP. Factor income receipt side में वही same profit receipt side में you are getting with a 10 because you are a 10% stakeholder. Now the rest 90% goes back to Japan It is a factor income going out, no? It is a factor income paid, isn't it? So it is a part of what? It is a part of GNP. Got it? So your analysis should be based on that how you are computing. GDP means, after all, whatever are produced domestically within your boundaries, within your territory, and after that, whatever income, maybe say it is generated in the form of income, or it is generated in the form of production, or it is generated in the form of expenditure within your domestic territory, that is what is GDP computed is. But when you are adding GNP is somewhat a very, very broader term, which includes the NFIA. Now you understand what does NFIA is. So the profit which is being earned, again Japan may, that Japanese had to share 10% of its profit to whom? To whom he will give?
Shareholders.
The
The
stakeholders.
stakeholders, right? And rest 90% amongst its own country. He has to pay corporate tax. He has to keep a certain amount of profit for its expansion. So that is what is undistributed profit or retained earnings. You can call them as your retained. Retained means it is kept with yourself. You are retaining with yourself. This is what is a retained earning is. Because why companies they keep undistributed profit? Because for future expansion, everybody needs to grow. And for growing, you need to have a reservoir. So somewhat this undistributed profit act as a reservoir for the corporates or the companies. Clear? Yes?
Yes, ma'am.
Third thing, GDP to NDP or GNP to NNP. The trick here is you have to see from where it is getting converted. So now the conversion is from gross to gross, domestic product वही same है. Here the conversion is from what? Gross to net.
Net.
National product वही same है. This is a trick. So again, what is the commonality between the third variable or third indicator or third aggregate of national income?
Depreciation.
Very good. Depreciation. When you are saying something which deducted, that is always a deductible amount. So while converting from gross to net, you are making depreciation. And depreciation can be in any form, wear and tear charges in terms of machinery, aging in terms of human being. The productivity also counts as a depreciation. Unproductivity, in fact, that counts as a depreciation. So if you have to find out GDP from NDP, so it will be what? GDP will be NDP plus depreciation. But when you are finding out NDP, it will be
GDP minus depreciation.
done. That's clear. All the aggregates, because these three things are the edifice of the three methods of GDP counting. But if you are clear, yes, that is activity. Again, another third activity which I'm going to do right now to answer your question. Okay? So let's start the activity. I'm dividing you all into groups. Shall we continue with the same group of our assignment? Yeah?
Okay.
Okay. So listen to this carefully. The activity which, yes, the question was very much pertinent. This is the activity. Sorry, let me start with the PPT. So, step number one, how healthy is the economy, or how the health of an economy can be measured. So, think about certain points which will measure the health of the economy. So, point out different factors which will measure the health of the economy. So, from this, I'm giving few hints to answer this question. First step is you have to explain how the health of the economy is measured. Let us take for India. Second step, define GDP and identify the factors which can be included in the measurement. Right? Third, identify the various stages of business cycle which you can fit into the economy. I hope you understand the various stages of business cycle which we have learned in the last class. 4 phases of business cycle. Fourth, how this different business cycle have an impact on the economy from the point of view of employment, from the point of view of wages. I had made this to be a bit hazy so that you cannot see, because if I am putting you into this set bracket, then you do not think out of the box. But there are certain out of the box elements. So apart from these four, employment, wages, consumer spending, and business, what else? And you have to interpret this graph, this picture, and give the answer with these hints that how the health of the economy is measured. All of you got it? Yes? The groups, did you get it? Let me explain once more. First is to measure the health of the economy, few hints. Explain how the health of the economy is measured with the help of define GDP and identify the factors that can be included in the measurement. Number one. Number two, describe how GDP is used to measure the health of the economy. Number three, identify the 4 different phases of business cycle. Number 4, the different phases of business cycle and its impact on the economy in terms of employment, in terms of wage creation, in terms of businesses, in terms of consumer spending. And after all, interpret. How do you define the health of an economy? Clear? So can we start the teams? You want some time for where is my breakout room? Okay. Now 10 minutes I'm giving each one of you and I'm creating breakout rooms. But please don't sleep away in terms of how you are in the room. Discuss these points and come up with a solution. Okay. So there are seven members in a group in the breakout room. Room number 1, you have Anirvan, Ayush, Tiny, Piyush, Bhaskar, Maheshwata, Siddhant. Room number 2, Saurav, Aditi, Ashish, Itishri Prishti, Priyanshu, Agarwal, Shreya Sarkar and Sunita Acharya. Room number 3, there is Aritra, Sambit Sahu, Banali, Devyajyoti, Nirbhik, Ronit, Sudhanshu Naik. Room number 4, there is Aliva Mishra, Deepshika, Rituswai, Abhilash Panda, Rajeshwari, Sambit Panigrahi. Room number 5, there is Devashmita Panda, Avek, Gautami, Shashwat, Sharda, Sohem Sen. Room number 6, there is Aditya, Chanjita Mishra, Neha Ghosh, Niladri, Shubhadev, Tarini Mohanty. Room number 7, Khushbu, Pratyasha, Prince Saloni Panda, Santanu, Yash. Room number 8, there is Abhinash Mahapatra, Meenakshi, Hitishri Panda, Jyoti Prakash, Pratyush Vera, Swati. Room number 9, there is Tapan, Subhajit, Arpan, Arpita, Shruti, Trishita. And room number 10, there is Abhijnash Patnaik, Simran Kumari, Rishabh Jain, Samajit Maiti, Alok, and Devapam Malik. Right? So, a 10 minutes discussion. I set a timer. The groups already has been well defined. The problem has been created for the activity. Now the room is open. All of you please can join to your respective rooms and have a close discussion. And after you come back, I will ask you, how did you solve the problem? You can take any economy. Everyone join to your respective breakout rooms. Okay. So those who are not here, they will as such, but rest of you join to your respective groups. If she got disconnected, I will see. I see Tarini, Shivani, Rahul. Join to your